Welcome to Football Podcast with Brandon White
and Robert Thackrey.
Here to discuss the fallout of a very busy Week 6 and make predictions for what's going to be a crucial Week 7 for many teams.
I think we got to stop calling this Bizarro week to week and just call it Bizarro year because there's a lot of weird things happening, a lot of interesting things happening. Like, my picks are shit. That's one. Aaron Rodgers is dead. The table has been broken.
The table is broken.
The Dudley boys have won.
Yes.
Ezekiel Elliott is unsuspended and then resuspended and then unsuspended. And so
that's a thing.
He's still playing.
Luke Kuechly got a concussion, but not really.
Oh my god.
Navarro Bowman moved like 25 feet from the 49ers to the Raiders.
Went across the bridge.
Yeah. Because he likes fires. And while the 49ers have been a glorious dumpster fire, there's no dumpster fire that's quite as classic as the Oakland Raiders. And we're showing that this year. DeShone Kizer went from not having the job to having the job. That was a thing.
He went from having the job to not having the job to having the job again.
Yeah. So that's just Cleveland things. The Jets won the first half of the game with the Patriots, kind of. Another ridiculous shit happened. Oh, yeah. Adrian Peterson became a Cardinal and had, like, the best game he's had in, like, 3 years.
Yeah, this is going to be a year of eating words.
Yeah.
I do think that I'm vindicated in saying that AP did not fit the Saints.
No, he absolutely was a terrible fit. He was just a slightly less terrible fit for Arizona, or Bruce Arians was like, look, it's Adrian Peterson. Let's just try to kill him.
I think Adrian Peterson, Bruce Arians has like some of Mike's secret stuff, but for like old dudes, like in his like weird Gatorade bottle that he gives, and he just like hands it around to like Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald and now AP before every game, and like they get out and like get jacked. Turns out it's just like steroids water, but he calls it Mike's secret stuff. So that's what I think's happening. Truthfully, he's just giving him liquid old people steroids because that doesn't. Nothing else makes sense. They weren't able to run the ball before at all, and then AP comes out and says, "No, hold my beer. I'm Adrian fucking Peterson."
Yeah, and we had a matchup where two 4-1 teams walked in, and only none walked out actually.
None walked out 4-1.
Yeah, we now have Carson Wentz leading the MVP race for the NFL after this past week. A combination of him having a good game against the Panthers after having a good game against everyone else, and the table breaking. So, I don't know what to make of the NFL anymore. Crazy things happened. The Chiefs lost a game, which, I guess it was due. They lost to the Steelers, which should actually surprise nobody, I guess, because they've lost to the Steelers 3 times in the past year.
Yeah, I was going to say, Big Ben has a really good record against the Chiefs for whatever reason. That's something you got to look at with a lot of these teams. Like, you can't count out these teams that get, like, utterly blown out. The week before, like, Steelers got destroyed by the Jaguars, and you always got to take that into account when looking at these games that are coming up, and they just laid it to the Chiefs, because these people are prideful people. Like, they went out and they want to win these games. And same thing that happened with the Cardinals. Cardinals got blown out, utterly fucking blown out by the Eagles, and they come out and they laid a whooping on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers end up coming back because Fitzpatrick was in the game, and it seems like they can move the ball better with Fitzpatrick than they can with Jameis for whatever fucking reason.
Right.
But I think they were up at one point like 28-0. So they came out there and they laid the smacketh down.
It's so much.
Golden Tate put the people's elbow on him. That's what happened.
Golden Tate
was like, not in my house, Drew Brees.
One of the highest scoring games of all time. It was insane. With so many turnovers.
It's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted. And the Saints were up so big so early that they told Drew Brees to stop throwing, and I'm like, but my fantasy team.
At the end of the first half, Drew Brees had thrown for 170 yards, and by the end of the game, Drew Brees had thrown for like 178 yards. Like, So much bizarre stuff was happening in that game. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. The Saints defense skyrocketed up the board by default. It's one of the better ones in the league off the strength of one game because statistics are misleading. But what are you going to do? I mean, that's what happens when you're a fan of teams that historically have bad luck. Speaking of teams that played the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders lost one in whatever the exact opposite of a barn burner is to the Chargers, and they lost it in Oakland.
A snooze fest?
Yeah. The Raiders missed an extra point, and the Chargers won by a point. So, what are you going to do? Other than lose to the Chargers and give them their W. And suddenly look like possibly the worst team in the AFC West. Because our offensive coordinator needs to be dragged out in the street and shot, but not before he's beaten and set on fire. Also, Amari Cooper's hands. Anybody seen them? We're going to put out wanted posters for Amari Cooper's hands.
What happened was Nelson Aguilar did this is my second Space Jam joke. Actually, he did the Space Jam thing where they took the ball and he sucked Amari Cooper's talent out, and now it's in Nelson Aguilar. And now he's a Monstar, and Amari Cooper's just left not knowing which foot is his left foot and which foot is his right foot.
Wait a second. So what you're telling me is that you really went to that Titans game with me so that you could Space Jam Amari's powers because that was the only quote unquote good game he's had this year?
Yeah, I Space Jammed him. And then I Space Jammed Derek. I Space Jammed the whole team and put him on the
You were like, look, Carson Wentz needs an extra bone in his back just in case. So we're going to take this one from Carr. We're also going to take his courage, his wisdom, and his heart.
And his beautiful eyelashes.
No, you can't take that. No. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's Maybelline. I'm not saying. So yeah, crazy week. And, for once, no. Not for once, because the refs did screw the Jets. Jets probably had that game in the bag. They absolutely took a touchdown away from them.
Talk to me about refs this week. You don't get to talk to me about refs.
Look, you finally beat the Morelli crew. I don't want to hear it.
Oh no, the Eagles have a positive record against the Morelli crew, but the Morelli crew will throw flags.
You put the stake in it. You were like, you will not, Mr. Morelli, tear down this wall. Anyways, the refs just a very obvious, the ball broke the plane, the ball, while in possession with full control, broke the plane,
That's the second call of that type that the refs have missed, not in consecutive weeks, but within the first 6 weeks, they've missed 2 of those calls. And
what's the point of the pylon cam? They didn't even reference the pylon cam on that one. Isn't that just a little weird to you?
Because the Lions broke the plane too, and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then the Jets broke the plane and then fumbled it out. But if the ball is broken while it's in possession, which you can see him regain possession on the quote unquote fumble, then that's a touchdown. I don't really understand because it was called a touchdown on the field, which means that you would have had to have indisputable evidence, because that's what they want. They want indisputable video evidence that he did not have possession, and they definitely did not have that, and 2, it was called a touchdown on the fucking field. Everybody already knows.
Were there replacement refs for that drive or something? What happened?
The Morelli crew were like, "Hold on, we got this, guys."
Yeah. So before we can really move on to anything, there's one thing I need to address. This is just going to be me being me for a minute. Sunday Night Football, the greatest thing that's happened in a very long time happened, and I would like to give the biggest shout out to Al Michaels from the Sunday Night Football crew for making the joke of the year, arguably, when he said the Giants were coming off of a worse week than Harvey Weinstein, and they were up by 14. And then next commercial break, he came back with the most so I guess I said something, and it might have been offensive to people, so I'm sorry for making light of recent events that may have hurt people. And Collinsworth just groaned. He was just like, oh, like, we're doing this. Like, I'm Chris Collinsworth. I don't give a shit. I'm here to shit on everybody. So, shout out to Al Michaels for making light of that. And fuck you to the NBC crew for trying to defend a sexual predator. Fucking assholes. So, alright, off my soapbox.
So, playoff picture. AFC, Chiefs still at 1, Steelers at 2, Patriots at 3, jumping all the way up. They weren't even in the thing last week. Titans take back control over their division at 4 with they had to hang in there on Monday Night Football, but they took back control of their division for the time being, so they're at 4. Bills and Dolphins 5 and 6, AFC East rounding out the wild card. Who would have thunk?
I don't know.
NFC, Eagles at 1. Insert Chris Collinsworth groan. Vikings at 2, which now that the table has been Dudleyed, that's probably going to stay like that. Panthers at 3.
Well, I don't know. We didn't mention the fact that Sam Bradford's career may be over, but then
they're
we
going
also
out there with Case Keenum with a second string quarterback and fucking lighting people up. Like if they can actually get a decent quarterback, like somebody who.
By God, King! That's Teddy Bridgewater's music. Teddy Bridgewater's practicing this week.
Stone cold, like glass shatter.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if Teddy can come out there and Case
just
Keenum's played
he
well.
just needs to be a bridge.
Case Keenum's played well, so I'm not disparaging Case Keenum. If you don't think that you're going to get something better than what Case Keenum's been getting you out of Bridgewater, keep trotting Case Keenum out there. But they traded a 1 to the Eagles for Bradford and basically got half a season out of him.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is they're gonna roll Teddy Bridgewater out there. And he's just he's gonna win, and then after the game, somebody's gonna get footage of him lifting up his pant leg, and he's gonna have RG3's face on the back of his knee like Voldemort in the first Harry Potter movie. This is how he's gonna do it. Just all Quirrell style.
It's Teddy Bridgewater space jamming people too.
Yes.
So yeah, Panthers at 3, which is surprising to me and apparently me alone. Rams at 4, just by virtue of the Seahawks being on a bye week, they have more wins, even though they've lost the tiebreaker, the head-to-head right now. Packers at 5, look for them to slip out of the wild card race completely now that Brent Hundley's there. Although, fun fact, 2013, I'm sure you guys have heard this already, but 2013, Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. The Packers were 5-2 at that point. And they came back and made the playoffs with a 9-7-1 record.
I feel like if you break your collarbone, it reduces resistance for things going down your throat.
Oh yeah, like long, phallic-type shaped things.
Yeah, like tube-shaped things. They like sausages up in Wisconsin.
I like.
Yeah, I think, and Aaron Rodgers is really just going to be able to take the biggest sausage possible now that his collarbone is displaced. So they're going to have to watch his diet. Because he may gain a lot of weight while he's rehabbing.
Yeah, legendary Matt Flynn ended up leading them to a.
Was it
Matt Flynn?
Matt Flynn did.
2013 led them to a
That's
2-2 record, replacing Scott Tolzien.
That's how that happened
in a game, and then Aaron Rodgers ended up bringing them back, winning the last couple games. So
and the Lions are still sad about that.
Technically, Aaron Rodgers he's in front of the schedule. I don't know.
He's ahead of.
He's ahead of schedule as far as collarbone and coming back.
Packers just need to hang in there until the table is repaired.
lots of duct tape and glue or something.
Just paste it up really good.
This Saints round out the crew at 6,
which nobody saw coming.
That last NFC wildcard spot with the Packers probably not getting that last one is going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be between the Rams, the Lions, possibly the Saints, and then the Redskins / Eagles, depending on how they do down the stretch. Especially since Zeke's going to be suspended maybe soon. We don't know, so you don't really know what's happening with.
They should just take it now That way, if they can hang in there for the playoffs, they'll have them for the playoffs. But hey, who am I?
What'll probably happen is they won't happen until like they know they're out of the race, and like they'll let him sit for the last like 4 games, but he'll still have to sit like 2 games at the end of the season. So they have to make the decision by week 10.
Yeah.
Or by week 11.
11, yeah.
Week 11, yeah. So head to head, this week was terrible.
Oh boy,
this week was completely.
This was not a good week.
Brandon was 6-8. I was 4-10, which was more games than I was counting in my head, and I only thought I got 2. I was like, wow, this is a bad week. Dave Damashek was also 6-8. Damashek has lengthened his lead on me by 3 games, and he's closing in on Brandon.
He's not closing in.
He's closing in. He
didn't gain anything. He's still 6 games behind me.
Closing in on you. And then I am damn near 10 games behind you. I'm 9 games. But silver linings. Beat you in fantasy.
Beat me in fantasy. Now you have the tiebreaker over me for the playoffs for both 4 and 2 in our fantasy league. So fuck you very much. I had you, and you were like, I'm going to lose. And I started looking at things, and I was like, no, I think I'm fucked. I think this is about to go south. And then the Chargers-Raiders game progressed. And then you leapfrogged me by like 15 points. Like, the projections just changed their mind entirely during that game. So, that's them's the breaks. What are you going to do, right?
Bye week. Texans at Lions. Texans at Lions.
Very lightweight week.
Both teams are 3-3, and both teams are, like, on the outside currently looking in as far as playoffs go.
Unacceptable.
So, for both teams, I think the Texans are going to take it, truthfully. Like, it makes me kind of sad because, like, I want something new in the South, but, like, Deshaun Watson looks fantastic. I don't even know what's happening here. He leads the league in touchdown passes right now, and he's tied Kurt Warner with most touchdowns in his most rookie.
He's tied
as a rookie most touchdowns through 4 games. Yeah. I think it was. So yeah,
he's the first person to beat Kurt Warner since Kurt Warner.
I want to beat Kurt Warner.
Man, you should go bag groceries then. We've never heard that one before.
So yeah, I mean it's interesting. Lions
still fighting. Packers going down means the Lions have a real shot.
Lions have a fighting chance. They've lost 2 in a row though. I mean they were 3-1, looking pretty, and then they've lost 2 in a row to the Panthers, which a surprise good team for me, but I think a lot of other people had them there. But it was a definite game that they probably could have won. Won a squeaker the week before against the Vikings, and then just got absolutely picked apart by Drew Brees. So interesting things that are happening up in Detroit. I don't think they're the juggernaut that you think they are, but I do think they're good enough to make a wild card at least. Texans, on the other hand, are going to run away with that division. They're 3-3 now, but that's by factor of losing a very close game to the Patriots and then looking terrible before Deshaun Watson.
I don't know.
What other team in the South can take that? The Colts look terrible. Jacksonville is a one-trick pony as far as that's concerned. If
right now that division 8-8 is all you need. Jacksonville looks very capable of 8-8.
Jacksonville looks capable of 8-8, but Deshaun Watson has that I don't know, it's that magic, man.
Do you think he's going to throw all over the best secondary in the league?
You're already calling them the best secondary in the league.
Statistically, this year, best secondary in the league.
I don't think so.
I mean, if we want to throw facts aside, then sure. But if we look at the actual statistics, currently this year, they're the number 1 secondary in the league. So can Deshaun Watson handle that?
Okay, I mean, it's one of those things where...
Was Deshaun Watson throwing on the best secondary in college football last year?
Yes.
Well, let's see how this plays out then.
He beat the best team in college football last year. So it wasn't even close. I think they go 10-6. I don't know. We'll see.
They go 10-6. I think the
Jaguars could sneak in there for a wild card, but I don't think the Jaguars are good enough.
I just want an all AFC South showdown.
They're not good enough on offense to make that wild card. They just aren't.
No. What's going to happen is at some point something like a shoe is going to drop. This Colin Kaepernick thing. Kaepernick's suing the league right now, and
God, we didn't even touch on that.
If Kaepernick just somehow gets a job and
if he wins, the CBA is terminated.
Yeah,
which is like Just wild, wild west. Everybody's Space Jamming everybody.
Suddenly, Colin Kaepernick is a Jacksonville Jaguar.
It's going to be dogs without horses.
They're all going to run wild. God, could you imagine that? But also, seriously, what if Shad Khan's just like, fuck it, we'll sign him. Because he's just one of those guys that would do that. It's like, fuck it, we'll take him. And then Kaepernick is just good enough to take that team.
Kaepernick versus Watson.
Interesting.
Thursday night football. We'll get this one out of the way for you real quick. Put you out
Less
your misery.
interesting.
Chiefs at Raiders. With the way the Raiders have been playing, even with getting Navarro Bowman, it is a short week. He probably will not play. If he plays, he's going to be on a snap count. He's going to be on a very limited play count as far as what he's going to know. I don't think he's going to make a difference at all this week. Your secondary and your defense has been playing better, but your offense has done nothing. The Raiders have done nothing.
We have a completely anemic offense.
Granted, the Chiefs went out there and looked completely anemic. They looked more like the Chiefs that we're used to, rather than like these greatest show on turf Chiefs that we've been seeing for the previous 5 weeks. So we'll see.
I mean, it's one of those things.
It's a short week. Andy Reid is really good at preparation. Granted, it is a good thing for him and the Chiefs that this is a division opponent, so he doesn't have to like go in and really like change much of a game plan. Derek Carr just didn't look right. Like he was missing throws high and like just ever so slightly off. And I mean, dude's got a fracture in his back, so like understand that he's not going to be 100% perfect. But
right.
You gotta pound Marshawn. Like it's one of those things where like you got Marshawn for 2 years, give him 25 carries.
I mean, That's
the only way you're going to win at this point.
I would like to say that I called 2 things regarding both these teams. One, I called that if anything would happen that could potentially stifle the Chiefs, is that the front 7 of the Steelers would give them fits and just completely fuck up their offense, which is exactly what happened. And the Raiders, I think I said verbatim that they would dress Carr, start Manuel, and the moment Manuel fucked up, they'd put Carr in. And on our first series, we ran the ball with Marshawn Lynch, and it worked perfectly. So naturally what we did was have E.J. Manuel throw an interception on the very next play. Mm-hmm. As soon as we got the ball back, Carr was in. And unfortunately, there was just confusion and chaos, and our offensive coordinator doesn't believe that there's a football field beyond 10 yards. Like, he's got fog of war. Like, he can't see beyond 10 yards. So he's like, Derek, just throw it, 6 yards, 8 yards, dink, dunk. We'll run the ball every now and then when we need to get, 6 yards, but we only want 2. I mean, our offense is terrible. We fired our offensive coordinator last year because he was uninspired. And we had one of the best offenses in the league last year. Granted, we were upset. We did not like Bill Musgrave's game plan. But, dear God, Todd Downs, more like it. Todd Down syndrome. That is what's wrong with the Raiders. We have Todd Down syndrome. Chiefs are going to beat the brakes off of the Raiders at home. It's going to put the Raiders 2-5 and end our season.
Basically, put you guys out of the
it'll be we can't get out of this hole. Yeah,
you guys would have to.
We'd have to run the table. We're not the table. We lose this game. I mean, we would have to win out just to get to 11-5 and be a wild card.
Yeah.
So,
rolling with the Chiefs. Sorry, Raiders.
Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Buccaneers at Bills. Buccaneers could. There's a bunch of teams vying for worst team in the league, but I think the Buccaneers are in that. I think they're in that little stretch where it's Buccaneers, Dolphins, Giants, Chargers, Browns, Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm done with the Bucs. I said it last week. I said if they lost that game, I was done, and they lost that game. Jameis is not the truth.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with him.
He is no longer Jameis Christ, the Lord and Savior of the Buccaneers. He's back to Jameis stealing crab legs because he couldn't get the hook up. I'm off the Buccaneers. The Bucs they're done. They're not going to win that division. They're not going to fight for a wild card. The Bills are not who we thought they were. They are actually a much better football team than we expected. And this is at Buffalo. I mean, this is a game that I think the Bills have in hand.
This is one of those games where if it was a month later, I think the Bills win easily, just because of temperature difference and climate.
True.
you got to really take those things into consideration on this end. Jameis is probably going to come out there. I don't know. I don't know about Jameis's injury right now, but they were able to move the ball a lot better with Fitzpatrick in there, surprisingly enough. So, I mean, is Jameis the problem?
Jameis has been a big part of the problem.
Doug Martin,
inaccurate as hell.
Doug Martin hasn't looked bad out there. I mean, they're having a lot of trouble getting the ball to Mike Evans, it seems, which is, they had less receivers last year, and they were able to get the ball to Mike Evans more. They paid Deshaun a crazy amount of money, and he's done jack all this season. He has one 40-yard or 40-yard plus completion catch. So no long touchdowns, nothing really. And, I mean, he's not really taking the top off of defenses like they were expecting him to, I guess, because they're still doubling. They're still doubling Mike, and they know Deshaun's not going to go over the middle and catch anything crazy.
And it's not Deshaun's fault. It's on Jameis Winston. Jameis is the problem with their offense.
I'm not blaming Deshaun. I'm just saying, like, they added this new piece, and that was like something that everybody's excited about. But when you look at it from a game plan perspective, I could see why they're not like super afraid of Deshaun when Mike Evans is basically just a bigger version of what he can do. So they're like, just put somebody on him, we'll be fine. I'm gonna roll with the Bills as well. Yeah. I don't see a reason why the Buccaneers can come out and win this, unless Jameis reverts back to some sort of form. But I don't know how many times I need to say it. They got Tyrod. They got Sammy Watkins. They don't have Sammy Watkins. They got Jordan Matthews. They had Sammy Watkins. They got LaShawn. Like, they've got a decent offense there. They've got a stifling defense. Bills should be able to put them away.
Yeah, I think that's a given.
Ravens are like the worst 3-3 team in the league. Ravens and Vikings.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. They beat us.
They don't deserve 2 of those 3 wins. They've gotten blown out twice. And then beat by the fucking Bears.
No, Mike Zimmer came out today and said that the Ravens are the best special teams in the league. So John Harbaugh still got that going for him, I guess.
He's a special teams coach.
Yeah. But you're right. You know, the Ravens beat the Raiders and then lost to the Bears because the Bears are now rolling with Mitch the Truth Trubisky. How many
truths are there, Brandon? Because there's a lot of truths.
There's at least 7 truths that I know of. There could be more. I have not found them all yet. I'm the Professor Oak of truths. I'm like, there are 150 Pokemon in the world. Exactly 150, no more, because Professor Oak doesn't get out much. So, the Ravens, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they're trying to be. They're not a threat to anybody. They're just playing the spoiler role at this point. They're just here to fuck other teams up. They're not doing anything for themselves. Not until they get out from under Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah. Joe Flacco looks terrible.
Yeah, like, Joe Flacco.
Don't even know what's going on there. Like,
he did the thing, man. He did the thing. He was like, I'm going to, bet on myself. I got lucky. I Eli'd the playoffs, and I got paid, and the team fell apart as a result. Because the salary cap, while rising dramatically year over year recently, wasn't really doing that 5 years ago. So, that contract really crippled them, as we talked about. Then you got the Vikings over here, who are just, a plug-and-play, just put somebody in at quarterback, we'll figure it out.
They're playing some sort of weird Madden offense where, you just lose you lose all your starters, and then you're able to win.
Yeah. It's insane because you've got direct snaps going to Stephon Diggs and shit. Not really, but that's the kind of Madden thing that would be happening.
Jerick McKinnon, aka Kevin Vickman, actually looks like a halfway decent back.
Kevin Vickman, our dude, is having him a season.
Latavius Murray, on the other hand, not really doing much of anything.
That doesn't surprise me. When we let him walk, I was like, this is good. He's a decent back, but he's injury prone. He's inconsistent and. Have fun in Minnesota, and he's not the guy up there. He's one of a group of people that are the guys, but he's not the guy. They're wide receivers. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, they are.
Thielen's still top 3 in the league for receiving yards.
Yeah,
Stephon Diggs has fallen out, but Thielen is still getting his pretty consistently.
And that Vikings defense is still playing good football. So You take this Ravens team that doesn't really have an identity.
You take this Joe Flacco dude who is prone to throwing interceptions.
Yeah.
And you take this Vikings defense, which is prone to getting after the quarterback and picking the ball off, and you put them in the same game, and we're going to see a 3-interception game from Joe Flacco. If
Flacco's going to be throwing the ball down roads the whole game. It's going to be picked. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Joe Flacco throws at least one pick six, and he throws at least 2 interceptions in this game.
I said 3.
Oh, man, hot take.
I said 3 at
All right. Game. Fucking playing one-upsman shit over here. So I think it's pretty obvious we're going with the Vikings on this one.
Yeah, we're both on the Vikings.
Yeah.
Jets at Dolphins.
Look.
Luke McCown is one of 6 quarterbacks that throw for 300 yards on the Patriots this season. We've only played 6 games.
But then you got Smoking Jay Cutler over here, who is just... He's like that character in a video game that you can't control. Like, you can control the other characters, but he just kind of does whatever he does, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's awful. For instance, having the Dolphins over 500 in Week 6. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Dolphins are above 500. They're still in that division race. Jets are still in the race. Bills are in the race. Patriots, like, this is one of those things where because of how bye weeks have fallen, the Jets at the Dolphins, the Jets lose this game. The Dolphins are tied with the Patriots until the Patriots have their game and how that goes. You know, this could be like suddenly like Week 7 ends and the Dolphins are in the lead of the division. Like, could you imagine that with Smokin' Jay Cutler at quarterback? So the Jets took it to the Patriots because that's what the Jets do.
Jets also beat the Dolphins earlier in the year.
Look, it's time for redemption. Smokin' Jay Cutler's like, all right, they raised cigarette tax. I'm angry. I think this is one of those things where Dolph Lundgren's going to like go out there. He's not going to be the Punisher this game. I think the Dolphins are going to actually eke this one out.
Eat this one out?
They're going to eke this one out.
Oh.
They're not going to eat it out.
That's what I thought.
They're not that
said.
generous.
I was like, ooh.
No. They're not going to be that nice about it.
Sexy.
Yeah. No, I think the Dolphins win this like 12-6.
Jeez.
Like
just field goals?
I think it's just going to be field goals all the
time. This is what I'm torn on. The Dolphins have given me nothing as far as consistency goes. I'm pretty sure they won by virtue of the Falcons collapsing for the second time in 7 games for them. So I'm not super confident. That being said, the Jets haven't been blown out, but they also barely won against the Browns. They really haven't been doing much of anything. Both of these teams are average, if not below average teams. I thought the Jets were going to be terrible. I thought the Dolphins were going to be terrible adjacent. I'm going to roll with the Jets just because I have a little bit more faith in what they've been doing as of late. They've been a little bit more consistent on offense. They've been a little bit more consistent on defense. Both of these quarterbacks are definitely turnover prone. The only thing that the Dolphins have going for them is Jay Ajayi at this point. Like, that man's a monster. You can give him the rock and basically turn away. And if they can get their running game going, the Dolphins, that is, get their running game going and play action pass off of that towards their talented group of receivers, they should be able to win this game. I just don't have faith in Jay Cutler. I don't have faith in that Jay Cutler, and I think the Dolphins' defense is mediocre at best, and this is going to be a close game, but I think this is the one that the Jets can pull out.
Jay Cutler believes in Jay Cutler, and I believe in Jay Cutler.
All right.
So
you do you, man.
All right. Cardinals at Rams. Suddenly, I don't know how to feel. The Rams' offense is still very legit. They're 4-2.
Todd Gurley looks like the dude that Todd Gurley was before last season.
Todd Gurley looks like the dude that he's going to be seeing across the field this Sunday.
No, Todd Gurley has already caught more passes in his career than Adrian Peterson ever has.
Well, look, it's not Todd Gurley's fault that Adrian Peterson's an asshole. So yeah, Cardinals bouncing back suddenly with Adrian Peterson, but an aging running back is not going to turn your team around. That's not how it works. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because the Raiders are 2-4 with beast mode. The Rams.
But what about? We'll get to it.
The Rams offense is. It's like not the greatest show on turf. It's like one of the better shows on turf. Like Jared Goff is playing like a number 1 overall pick. Todd Gurley, him and Sammy Watkins look like the people they're supposed to be. Just like it took Sam Bradford 1,000 years to look that way, and then his knee exploded. Just like it took Alex Smith 1,000 years to look that way, and he still actually kind of looks that way, which is terrifying. And let's still, again, talk about that Rams defense. The Rams defense is not playing bad football by any means. Wade Phillips knows what he's doing.
Robert Quinn and Aaron Donald, among the other defensive linemen that they have down there, are going to take it to Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Cardinals' offensive line is like middle third. Like they're in that middle third range. They're not great. They've been prone to give up a lot of pressure. They gave up a lot of pressure to the Eagles, who I think have a top 5 front seven.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure to the 49ers, who I think are in the top half as far as front sevens go. Mm-hmm. So Rams are in that area. Rams are in that area to where like they can get a lot of pressure on Carson Palmer, and if they can stuff AP, which I mean AP's probably going to have like an 80-yard 1 touchdown day, which is going to be like decent. You know, that's a good like running back day.
If he gets that, or it could have been a fluke last week. We don't know.
I don't think he's going to have like 120, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns like he did against the Bucks. I think we're both showing our hands a little bit here, but I'm rolling with the Rams.
Toot, toot. Yeah, I'm on the hype train of the Rams still. So
I think I think that was a fluky win, especially since they almost. If you would have played another quarter of football in that Cardinals-Buccaneers game, you would have had the Bucs come out there and win. I think like the Cardinals were imploding down there near the end.
Yeah,
Larry Fitzgerald had himself a game.
And then just let's not forget that Cardinals defense is not going to be able to do much against that Rams offense. It's not going to happen. The ghost of Patrick Peterson is not going to stop that offense.
I mean, if they can get Todd Gurley going, get him some work in the passing game. Open up some lanes there. I think that they can. That they can take it to him.
And where's Honey Badger? Where's he hiding at?
Tyrann Mathieu?
Yeah. Where's he hiding?
You don't care.
Where is he?
You don't care.
Where's he been?
He's in his hole. He's in his nest.
He's going to have to be the key.
In his burrow.
He's going to have to be the key in that secondary. He's going to have to hold everything down. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think we're both going to go with the Rams on this one.
Yeah. Jaguars at Colts.
So the Colts played really decent football.
Is this a hard one for you?
No, I mean it's not. But I'm just before I say Jaguars, if I say they played a really decent game against the Titans.
I thought they were going to have it. I picked the Colts because I thought it was going to be like a sneak.
This was the game where I was like, okay, are the Titans pretenders? Because they've been really shaky this year. They lost to us. They lost to a 2-4 team. So, I mean, what are you going to do? They almost lost to the Colts, who have the worst head coach in the league. And just a sloppy offense, not really any defense. And it went down to the wire in that game.
Fuck, marry, kill. Chuck Pagano, Ben McAdoo, Todd Downing.
Well, I feel like I'd have to fuck Ben McAdoo against my own will. Like, he'd rape me. I wouldn't have any say. So I guess fuck Ben McAdoo. Who was my third option? Todd Downing. Definitely don't want to marry. Oh man, this sucks. Can we not play this game?
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's pretty cut and dry. The Jaguars are going to win this game.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette is an adult.
Yeah, he is an adult man. He's going to run all over them. Their defense is not going to have any answers for him alone. This literally could be a game where the Jaguars don't pass the ball at all. First game since like the 40s, no passing whatsoever from a team.
One can only hope. It's Doug Marone's wet dream.
He's
to have Blake Bortles drop back 0. If Blake Bortles could not have the ball in his hands at all, I think that would be the
they should
best
just direct snap it to Leonard Fournette. Like, why not? The only problem there is he can't get ahead of steam that way. But whatever. So yeah, Jags over the Colts. Saints at Packers. I think you have strong feelings about this one based on the table being broken.
They got the Dudleys got the table, and I don't know what to do.
Something sausage.
But yeah, Brent Hundley, with the Saints' defense being historically porous, especially these last couple years, they gave up, 30-something?
Exactly 38 is what they gave up. Saints-Packers, super interesting. Truthfully, I'm going to roll with the Saints, and here's why. Not just because Brent Hundley is going to be starting. I know there's going to be a lot of talk about Brent Hundley being there, about Aaron Rodgers being out, but he really orchestrates that offense. Aaron Rodgers, that is, he's having to take them and bring them out of the doldrums, basically bring them into some sort of like fourth quarter heroics multiple times during the season. And it's only week 7, by the way. So I don't think Brent Hundley's going to be really great at that. He threw 3 interceptions against the Vikings. Granted, the Vikings probably have a top 5 secondary, so you have to take that with a bit of a grain of salt. Threw a touchdown on what I would say would be a broken play to Devontae Adams, who I do think is their second best wide receiver. Probably will usurp Jordy here in the next couple of years. Devontae Adams does look like something fairly good. Granted, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold down that one position, but we'll see here going forward. If they can run the ball against the Saints, which historically, like I said, they have had a pretty bad defense, had a pretty porous defense, should be able to do something. But they were able to pick off Matthew Stafford a couple times.
Yeah, that Lions game turned into the shootout we thought it would be, but we never thought it was going to be the game that it was.
There was a lot of defensive touchdowns, which I didn't expect. I expected there being a lot of offensive touchdowns.
The Saints climbed like 10 defensive positions on the strength of that game alone.
It was absolutely insane, and I think without Brent Hundley, without Aaron Rodgers, being able to be on the field and chew up a little bit of clock, being able to move them up and down the field, you're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs or a lot of like stalled drives right around like the 40 or 50 without them getting points, despite Mason Crosby being probably one of the best kickers in the league right now. Can't kick if he's not within range. He's just not.
Right.
So I'm rolling with the Saints. This is one of those games where I thought, regardless of what was happening, I would have probably rolled with the Saints, but it would have been a lot closer. You can't count out Aaron Rodgers ever. He's possibly the best quarterback in the league right now, like playing. But going forward, rolling with the Saints this week, but going forward, I do think it's interesting to point out that I don't know if Mike McCarthy's going to be able to like roll with that State Farm insurance he happens to have on on Aaron Rodgers, because he did file a claim on him in 2013. They were 5-2 at the time. Ended up coming back after 5-ish weeks and a bye week. Matt Flynn, who is currently out of the league, led them to a 2-2-1 record. The one being when Scott Tolzien was actually benched. Colts great, Scott Tolzien.
Yeah.
By the way, ended up being benched, and he actually ended up keeping them in it. So like if they can go 500, because they are currently 4-2, so if they can go 500 and end up being 6-4, I think they can run the table.
Yeah,
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the table, so of course they could run the table.
Yeah,
but I think if they end up being 6-4, heading into week 10 or 11, depending on what their bye week is, I do think that they can make the playoffs. But currently, with no actual outlook as to far as Aaron Rodgers' injury, I'm going to say that they don't make the playoffs, which is it's not necessarily a hot take, but it's something.
It's a reasonable take. It's a lukewarm take.
It leaves a wild card open, or a wild card position open completely, because they
take like the Redskins or something.
Yeah, like they take the division completely each year, which leaves the Vikings or the Lions, and then that leaves a position open there, so that it completely shakes up the NFC.
Yeah. So I think we're both going to roll with the Saints on that.
100%.
Yeah, moving on. Panthers at Bears. I wish so badly that this was being played in Carolina, so it could be like Mitch Trubisky's homecoming, where Panthers fans would be like, "Yay, go Panthers!"
I think you're being disrespectful to the Wolfpack here.
Oh, fuck NC State. Get that shit out of here. No. Trubisky's homecoming would have been much more interesting. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait another year or two for that to happen. Unless the Bears just tear one off and host the Panthers in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be something?
Or the Bears end up being... Or here's a scenario. Saints make the playoffs as the 6th seed. The Panthers drop to 3rd in the division. For whatever reason, the Packers end up being the 4th in division, and the Bears end up being the 3rd, thereby being both the Panthers and the Bears being the 3rd in their divisions have a matchup next year.
Yeah,
and maybe it be Panthers at Bears next year.
That's
a lot of
that's
ifs,
what's
ands, or
happening
buts,
this year.
but-
We're getting Panthers at Bears this year, so it would be Bears.
Bears at Panthers.
Yeah.
I apologize.
All that being said, as much as I'd like to hope, because the Bears do look less anemic with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback, and Jordan Howard does look like he can be the truth.
Tariq Cohen is the best quarterback they have right now.
Yeah, he's got a perfect passer rating. All things considered, not a lot to see here. I mean, it might be a fun game. We could see some surprise bullshit happen, but the Panthers should have this one in hand. The Panthers look like they're back.
I don't know if they're back. Jay Stu doesn't look all that great, but they seem to be going to.
He looked great in your Madden game you played.
Doesn't look all that great. Christian McCaffrey is starting to take away carries in the backfield and overall,
catches and everything.
Just
He's
snaps.
just doing
He's taking
it all.
snaps away from Jonathan Stewart. They seem to be going to more of a pass first, like Cam Newton run. Option type of offense where Cam is really running the offense, so it'll be interesting. The Panthers should go 5-2. This shouldn't be a real option. It wouldn't surprise me if the Panthers win 5-2. The Bears really don't have any reason to win this game. I don't see. They're going to have to run the ball, play hard defense, but they did play the Steelers.
Their defense came alive in that game.
They have a top 10 defense, and I don't know if that's a hot take, but their defense is fantastic, and that is completely surprising to me.
I'm not so surprised by that.
Panthers also have a great defense, and they should be able to hold Mitchell Trubisky to no touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Sounds about right. Rounding out the 1 o'clock game, the Titans are going to beat the Browns.
Yeah, I think we're both on this wagon. Deshaun Kaiser's starting. He's going to be the 20th starting quarterback in 49 games.
44, I thought.
44?
I don't even. It's so out of control at this point that I'm not
40
even sure.
odd games.
The math, the math is insane. I can't.
But yeah, I mean, they've basically had one starting quarterback for every 2 games they've played, approximately 2.5 games. But it's not great. They're switching back to Deshaun Kaiser after having a less than 60% completion rate, actually less than 55%. To be fair, there's not a lot of talent on that team. Isaiah Crowell's not the stud that we thought he was going to be. Their offensive line should have been a lot better. They just maybe the Browns are cursed at this point. I really don't know because
they might be.
They had Derek Anderson
ever since Belichick left town.
They had Derek Anderson out there who's currently the backup for the Panthers, who I thought he was good enough to be a starting quarterback in my opinion. I mean, Brian Hoyer's out there was starting for the 49ers, and I mean he's not a scrub. He just has been on bad teams, so I don't know what's happening in Cleveland. I was a Cleveland believer. I think I'm finally off the train. The Titans don't look much better than the Browns right now, but that being said, the Browns are the worst team in the league.
Yeah. Starting the 4 o'clock game, we have Cowboys at 49ers. I think this one should also be a quick one, if only because Kyle Shanahan has more or less implied that the 49ers are in fire sale mode right now. Navarro Bowman's gone. He's now a Raider. They're allegedly open to trading pretty much anybody. So I don't think that
even Pierre Garçon.
I don't think that they're really concerned about winning games at this point. It's already 6 games in. They're 0-6. There's no hope.
They're a tight 0-6.
They've been playing close because of their defense.
Yeah,
and they looked really, really good.
Solomon Thomas is a goddamn monster. I do think he was the best pick. And granted, Myles Garrett seems to be a semi-game changer. I think he might go the way of Jadeveon Clowney, where it's going to take him a couple years to really get to the game speed since he played that hybrid position at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
He's going to figure out what he needs to do. But Solomon Thomas is a man. That is an adult. That is a grown man out there playing, and he is a monster.
And C.J. Beathard has actually looked decent. So I mean, this could be a best case scenario for Kyle Shanahan, where they get a high draft pick, but they already might have the quarterback if they're lucky. I'm not saying that he's the guy, but as a hypothetical, that could be good. All things considered, though, Cowboys with the freshly reinstated after re-suspended Ezekiel Elliott.
We haven't even really touched on Zeke.
It's at this point it's old hat.
Like
it keeps he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. He's a limp dick at this point.
Zeke's he's got a little bit of something on him.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be playing their whites since they're away. Yeah, Zeke's playing. They should be able to pound the rock. That 49ers front seven is stout, by the way, and that 49ers secondary is nothing to be laughed at. They have a great wide receiving core. CJ Beathard looks like he's okay if they can give him some like easy reads, like some Chip Kelly type of like offensive reads to where he only has to read half of the field, for example. I think you can surprise people. That being said, going forward, I don't think that they're going to be able to do that just because the Cowboys' secondary is pretty terrible and they are in a division where the defense is great. 49ers could upset them, but I think we're going to both roll with the Cowboys.
Yeah. 425, Broncos at Chargers. This is one where
Sandy, I'm sorry, lost Sandy.
Not making that mistake this time. So the Chargers are no longer in last place in the AFC West as of the time of the recording of this podcast. Now we're recording late due to technical circumstances, and there's this barn burner going on between the Chiefs and the Raiders as we're recording. So I don't know where the Broncos or the Chargers are going to be as of the time that you listen to this.
Shit.
I don't want to know. But anyways, right now the Chargers are in third place. Broncos 3-2, holding down second place in the division.
With the no-fly zone basically being interrupted. Like, the no-fly zone was shit on last week by the Giants.
I think that's just like, you don't know who you're defending.
I don't know, man. Nobody was out there. Like, Evan Ingram was the person that they were...
That's what I'm saying. Like, the no-fly zone didn't know who they were covering. Like, in terms of, like, the skill set of these players.
That
like,
front seven was completely embarrassed by Orleans Darkwa, who was third.
He had like 180 yards on the ground or something. It was insane.
113, but we're gonna.
I rounded up to the nearest 180.
He had more than both Ezekiel Elliott and a couple other great rushers that they've faced currently. So I mean, this is I don't even know what to say about this. Like, this is one of those things where, after getting embarrassed, you have to take into the fact that primetime was a thing. So, like, primetime games seem to, like, close the gap between teams for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe these players get more hyped the fact that, like, everybody's going to watch them. And also, wasn't a blowout, but I do say that, like, blowouts also have to be something that you have to take into effect or take into mind when picking games, looking at matchups going forward, because the Jaguars completely destroyed the Steelers, and the Steelers came back around, smacked the shit out of the Chiefs. Chiefs are currently 0-3 since 2016 against the Steelers.
Yeah.
And they are 19-3 against the field, 17-3. I think it's 17-3
I like
against the field.
19-3 more.
But it's ridiculous. So, I mean, despite Melvin Gordon being on my fantasy team, basically being a workhorse, I do think he's going to get his, despite, being up against that front seven that, despite losing Shane Ray, is still playing very well. I do think that the Broncos are going to come out there and lay a whipping on them. Trevor Siemian led the league in passing yards last week with 324, but threw a couple costly interceptions.
That'll do it.
He's not going to throw these interceptions to the Chargers defense.
No.
Like, they just
Simeon's better than that.
They don't have those playmakers on defense anymore right now. Jason Verrett is out, as is tradition, apparently.
Yeah, this is going to be a running theme for them.
Yeah, C.J. Anderson, I think they're gonna pound the rock to him. Demarius Thomas is still one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league. Emmanuel Sanders takes the top off of it. They can do what they got to do, and I don't know. I mean, you're a Simeon believer. I don't think I am, but I'm.
You're coming along.
How long the jury can still be out on Simeon remains to be seen.
Yeah, no,
I do think that he's in there long enough to put it down between them. I don't think that
he might not be elite, but he's a franchise guy.
I think he's Alex Smith-esque.
That's exactly what you need if you're the Chiefs. So we're both going to roll with the Broncos.
Yes.
Bengals at Steelers. This one gave me a little bit of heartburn when I looked at it. I wasn't sure how I felt about it.
Steelers have been inconsistent at best.
And the Bengals defense is back. It seems like Vontaze Burfict is the key to that defense.
Vontaze Burfict is the heart and soul. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at it like that middle linebacker who he really sets the tone despite being a quote-unquote dirty player. Like, he sets the tone for that Bengals defense. And that Bengals defense is they're dirty, they're gritty. They're gonna let you know who they are. But the Steelers play, and this is a division game, so it's going to be a lot closer. You always got to take into account these division games being very close. They see each other 2 times a year. They game plan for each other. It's hard to say. Steelers just came off a huge win against the Chiefs, best team in the league, arguably. Right. I can't make a argument that they didn't beat the best team in the league, especially with the whooping they've been laying on people, including my Eagles. But the Bengals have come along. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to have extra time, by the way. Mm-hmm. Not saying that Marvin Lewis is the greatest planner out there, but since they've fired their offensive coordinator, they're 2-0.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a team that's got momentum and a team that's coming off of
extra time.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot to be said here. I don't really know what to do. Yeah.
The only reason that the Steelers really won that game is because of basically a broken play off of what should have been an interception by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown ended up taking it to the house.
As he does.
I mean, he leads the league in receiving yards by a good click, like at least 150.
Yeah.
So he's obviously the best receiver in the league right now, and I don't even think it's close. And Le'Veon Bell might be the best running back in the league, only because Kareem Hunt's a goddamn man.
Yeah. And part of me really wants to pick the Bengals. I just got a funny feeling about this game, but I'm gonna play it safe and go with the Steelers on this one, just because of offensive prowess, and the front seven of the Steelers is still really good. So
I think that both of us are on the same page. The Bengals are running a very college style offense. I've watched a couple Bengals games pretty closely, mainly because they're in the area and I get to see them fairly often. But they're running a very Chip Kelly style offense, which in the beginning, if you don't know how to game plan against it, very difficult to run because you're getting a lot of combination routes, you're getting a lot of quick motions. There's a lot of players running back and forth across the line of scrimmage. But if you know what route combinations they're going to be running, super easy to do. The Steelers, on the other hand, have had the option to do it. They've got the offensive prowess. They've got Martavius Bryant out there. They've got Antonio Brown. They should be able to hold this down. And I think you made all the points that I needed to make as far as this. They should be able to have this in hand, especially since they're home and away splits for Ben Roethlisberger too. He's playing at home for whatever reason. He plays so much better at home. I think this is going to be a 3-touchdown game for Ben.
I think it'll be closer than that, but Steelers win it. Closing out the 4:30 game, Seahawks at Giants. It's like the same thing that we just did with the Bengals Steelers.
You think so? I think everybody's going to be overhyping the Giants right now.
You got to think about that Seahawks O-line against that front seven of the Giants. And that's what I look at when I see this game. I see the Giants offensively. Yeah, they're a mess. They're missing everyone, and they're playing with nobody.
You got to look at it this way. Eli's not going to do anything. Eli's a pocket passer. He's going to be trying to give it to Evan Ingram, all the other wide receivers that they might happen to have. Russell can break plays.
He can.
And they still do have a collection of running backs there that can do the job. Thomas Rawls, Eddie Lacy, C.J. Prosise all do different things. So I think the Seahawks are a better team. Their record shows that they're a better team. The Giants are good. They've played and they've been in these games. They gave it to the Broncos, but the Giants aren't the better team here despite being at home. They just aren't.
No. I mean, realistically, the Seahawks probably are going to win this game, just based on talent alone. But it's an intriguing situation because the Giants could pull that "you don't know who we are" shit again.
Oh, no, I know who they are.
Yeah. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks. They still do have one of the best defenses in the league, and they have an offense that has just enough weapons that the Giants shouldn't be able to outscore them.
No, I mean, this could be a 17-14 game, but I do think it's one of those games where, the amount of yardage and, first downs and, actual stats that you're looking at are going to be different. The Seahawks are going to march up and down. It's not even going to be close.
8:30 Sunday Night Football. We have a Super Bowl rematch between two disappointing Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
We have the 3-2 Falcons at the 4-2 Patriots.
What do you even do here? Like, this is super. This is exciting, regardless of what you're doing, despite them being fairly disappointing. If both of these teams would be 5-0 and 6-0 respectively, this would still be surprising. But I mean, Falcons coming off of what is their second most surprising
Loss in the past 10 months.
second half comeback.
Yeah.
And the Patriots just not being what we expect from the Patriots. Like, they're... could this be the end of an era?
I mean, I know a guy who was like, I can't believe we blew a 17-point lead in that game, and I was like, did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, like, were you there?
Were you there? Like, did you all really erase that from your memory like you all say you did?
Like, Patriots don't deserve to be in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned.
Right now, they're not playing like a playoff caliber team. They're getting wins, but they don't deserve the record they have.
Hell no.
But also...
Steve Sarkisian's offense looks anemic. It looks terrible. I don't know what they're doing there, and I put a lot of stock into like the difference between Kyle Shanahan and Steve Sarkisian. I thought it might have been reaching, but apparently not. Like, that is a huge difference between what they're doing. Matty Ice has gotten nothing done. I don't think Julio Jones has a touchdown on the season. What do you do here? Patriots are the worst defense in the league. They've allowed 6 consecutive 300-yard passers. Luke McCown, the goddamn Punisher, Ivan fucking Drago has passed for 300 yards on them. The Gillette man. Matty fucking Ice should be able to do that, right? Like, you think the Falcons should be able to do this because the Patriots' defense is not going to be one that's going to hold them to 25 points and 0 points exclusively in the second half and an overtime period.
Right. I mean, this is one of those games where it makes so little sense at this point in the season after what we've seen from both these teams in the past year that I'm literally going to only give it to the Patriots because they're playing at home.
You're a better man than I. Brandon Cooks is in the top 5 of wide receiving yards, but it doesn't feel like it. Rob Gronkowski had a great game against the Jets, but he doesn't feel like the force that he is.
Right.
The Patriots don't feel like the Patriots.
They're not.
Every time you watch the Patriots, you don't feel...
The curse.
Tom Brady, the fucking Madden curse is coming for them.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going to say it. The Falcons win this game in Foxborough because they're the fucking men.
All right. Well,
the Falcons are the daddy.
We finally split a game. Rounding it out, Monday Night Football, Redskins at Eagles.
Sean Gruden is going to have a fucking
He's going to have a blast because he loves Carson Wentz, but he really loves this Jay Gruden guy.
He doesn't love Carson Wentz as much as I love Carson Wentz. Everybody aboard the Wentz wagon. We're going to Pennsylvania. It's here.
I don't even honestly.
I'm hard because I don't talk about the Eagles during the week. You know me, like super superstitious. This is the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I know, and they're going to win this game.
Do you know how surreal that is? It's crazy. I don't know if I'd be so sure about you. This is going to be a very close game. This is a division game. This is prime time. This is Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins
at the Link.
This is at the Link, but Kirk Cousins owns the Eagles. He owns them.
Right. Like, Terrell Pryor is having just an abysmal year.
Terrell Pryor, despite having the one touchdown that he had against the Raiders on what was basically a broken play, he has found the end zone 0 times, less than 6 targets averaged per game.
I think Terrell Pryor just wants to be a Raider again. Like, he's tanking himself to end up back with us on a cheap contract again.
Absolutely terrible. And the offense, Kirk Cousins is willing them to win, but I mean, Zach Brown is among the top lead leaders in tackles. Like, he's 50 plus. So this is going to be a close game. We can replay the 2010 Mike Vick Deshaun Jackson 91-yard touchdown catch that we want, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. If the Eagles are able to do what they did last year on opening day. Get after Kirk Cousins with Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Timmy Jernigan, Vinnie Curry, Derek Barnett, Chris Long, like that extremely deep defensive line, and if Nigel Bradham is able to play the game that he was able to play against the Panthers with 9 tackles and that crazy defense against Cam Newton on the goal line and a couple of those pass deflections, he was an absolute monster. I'm not going to count the Redskins out of this game. I fear them as a division opponent of the Eagles more than anybody else does, I think. Giants, we own. The Cowboys are terrible. Redskins could sneak this game. I'm going to roll with the Eagles just because they're on a roll. LeGarrette Blount seems to be rejuvenated. He's a man amongst children. It seems to be playing the ball or playing the game. Like he's running that rock with an authority.
Who did I say should have been OPOY last year?
One LeGarrette Blount.
And who was I told was probably overrated because of the offense he was playing in last year?
One LeGarrette Blount.
And who is playing like a grown-ass goddamn man this year for the Eagles?
LeGarrette goddamn Blount.
I just want to point out, I did not overrate that man.
LeGarrette Blount is a fucking monster. Carson Wentz is arguably playing like the best quarterback in the league.
You all space jammed the Raiders. You were like, Carr, Lynch, we're going to take all of your mojo and send it to Philadelphia.
Amari Cooper, you're Nelson Aguilar.
Yes,
Fuck
like
you.
All of it just went to the Eagles this year. It's insane.
I think Carson Wentz rolls again. He continues his streak of 3 touchdown games. Throws a pick. Eagles win 27-21.
All right. Well, that just leaves us one thing left to do. We have to do the official coin flip for Madden matchup. The poll ended, and the winner was...
It's Ravens-Vikings, right?
Ravens-Vikings. I think it's Vikings at Ravens was the matchup.
Ravens at Vikings, I want to say.
So we're going to flip for it. As it is an odd week, Thackrey gets to call it. So I'll flip, and he'll call it. Here we go.
Tails.
Heads it is. I wonder what I'm going to pick. Tune in on YouTube to Football Podcast Madden Matchup to find out. Thanks for listening, guys.